Hello and welcome. My name is Tanja Lee. I am the CEO for The ALCHEMIC Way. We're a personal and professional development business devoted to empowering real estate leaders and teams to fulfill on their potential in the least amount of time. And it is my absolute delight to be joined by a woman who every single day is curating and procuring the latest and greatest real estate insights and information, whilst also showcasing and celebrating best practice in Australian real estate and property. And if you ask me, I think she also has the best dimples in town. It is the editor of REB, Grace Ormsby. G'day, Grace. How are you, my love?
Tanja, you're so kind. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here. I'm good.
It's my absolute pleasure. I want to begin by acknowledging you and congratulating you. I know you've been with Momentum Media. I think it's been since 2018 now. You started as a journalist. You went on to news editor, then deputy editor. And March 2023 marks your 1-year anniversary as editor of REB. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been fun. It's been really fun.
That's good that you're having fun. May I ask, Grace, before we talk all things rankings and nominations and submissions for the 11th upcoming annual REB Awards, what has been your biggest highlight being editor of REB for the last 12 months?
I mean, just seeing the work that's been going on behind the scenes, even just in the real estate profession over the last 3 years, I really did come on board right at the beginning of the pandemic, and to see 2022 as a pretty normal year. It was obviously very crazy that first half, but just to see agents in their element doing what they love, like that was really, really cool, because for so long they'd just been really running by the seat of their pants, doing what they could. And that was incredible. But then to see what they could do when they didn't have those same constraints was amazing. And then just to be able to run our events last year, the REB Awards, bring that back. And then
bring that back.
And our Reinnovate event, just everything has been really, I couldn't have asked for more in this first year in this role. So it's been very cool.
And you came in, I think, at a good time, just kind of coming out of that global pandemic. Of course, there's a little bit of a ripple effect and obviously lots of changes, as always happens. I think change is the only constant. I think the moment we're recording this, we're waiting for another interest rate rise. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Never do they?
How much can we handle? But, what I do know is you with your team are at the forefront of educating the industry on what we need to know so we can make informed decisions. So thank you on behalf of all of the members and future members of all the work that you do, because it's an extraordinary mammoth of effort. And there is, as you say, so much to celebrate. I know you guys have just announced the top 50 sales officers for 2023. Big shout out to Highland Cronulla in New South Wales for taking out the top #1 ranking, and congrats to everybody else. And Grace, submissions are now also open for the top 100 agents of 2023, the top 50 officers for each state, and of course, last but not least, the top 50 women in real estate for 2023. For people watching this now, wherever you are, g'day, thanks for watching. We know typically, like many industry, real estate and property people can be super time poor, and it's one of the resources we blame why we don't have our results that we desire. But the opportunity that REB and Momentum Media and all the partners provide to showcase excellence and best practice, for those that are time poor and thinking, it's days away from submissions or ranking, and we'll get to the awards shortly, what would you say? What would you say to encourage them to invest the time to just submit for the ranking to start off with?
I mean, for the ranking, the time component probably becomes a little bit less of a pressing issue, because all these people out there, they're going to know what their numbers are. I don't think you can say you'd be a really good agent if you're not keeping track of them, or you don't have someone in your team with keeping track. So it's not even, as the agent yourself, you might not know what's going on, but someone surely in your business has those numbers written down that can hand them to you in a second. And especially for the rankings where it is so objective, we're just looking at 3 key metrics usually for those. it is quite an easy way to be putting yourself forward for something that is not only recognized so widely within the industry, but can also give you credit in your local community as well. People don't really know how to benchmark real estate agents, except for, you know, how they appear and present to them. So it's just another way to add to that.
And the numbers tell a story. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and I think you bang on. As a coach, I always begin with the first element of success, which is clarity. Knowing your numbers gives you power, and we don't do it for the numbers necessarily. Numbers, as I like to say, certainly to my clients, are just a scorecard of your energetic output. The higher the number, really, you could flip that and see it as the more people's lives you have positively changed. So that is absolutely something to be celebrated. So before we get on to the awards, for those that are watching and think, yeah, I want to put my hand up or at least enter into the top 100 agents for 2023, or top 50 offices in an office in my state, or the women in real estate entry, what do they do, or how do they enter?
So we have a submission process online, and that's just through our, go to realestatebusiness.com.au, really. That's probably the first step. And then they can go through to the ranking section, and there's a lot of prompts there that'll walk you through really that whole process. And it's generally a little bit collaborative, in that once you've put in your submission for the rankings, you will actually get someone coming back, you know, to verify those stats. You have to be able to show that they're real and that they exist within a CRM and the like. But as I mentioned before, all that information will be readily available within your business. So it might take half an hour out of your day, maybe a little bit longer, depending on who you are within the business. But it's just sort of thing where I don't like saying you've got to be in it to win it, but really, you know, these rankings are comprised of the best agents, and it's such a great way to be benchmarking, you know, for those young agents that maybe don't think that they're ready to even be going for it. It's such a good way to say, well, if these people are getting these results, what do I need to be doing to get similar? How can I reverse engineer that way?
And one of the things that I think, and certainly you guys do a lot as far as showcasing great best practice and content and insights and information on your podcast as well. But I think you hit a good point there for upcoming agents to look at who can they model to reverse engineer their strategies for success, because as we know, the cliche says success leaves clues. If you're coming up into the industry, you can go, okay, well, this is the best agent in my state, or this is the best woman in business, or this is the best agency. So it's a great platform to learn and model from. It's also a great way to demonstrate you are best practice and you've been recognized in the industry. So potentially it could help you with increasing your listing conversion ratios, because you can demonstrate how you won that why. And also it can be great for directors to become an agency of attraction or choice, because they are recognized as, you know, setting the benchmark. So many reasons, and there's no excuse. If you can make half an hour to, you know, surf a wave or drink a coffee, you can sit down and think about who you are in the industry. And we know at the time we're recording this, it is kind of award season. The Golden Globes has happened. Beyonce made history last night, taking out 32 Grammys at the Grammys. And of course, it is the 11th annual REB Awards coming up at the Frocked Up and Fabulous Night on Thursday, the 4th of May. And submissions are open for the next
well and truly open
4 days. So we're having this chat on Tuesday, the 6th of February, and submissions close on the 10th. So similar to the ranking, but obviously it's a bit more detailed. Why would you encourage individuals? Because there's many categories, and I'll get you to reel off a few if you wouldn't mind. But again, why sit down and devote some time to nominate someone for an award, or B, submit for yourself? Because you can do both.
There's so many parts of that question, but really, I mean, it's one of those things where I just see the value multiply, I guess, even the further someone gets along in the process. And really, to answer your question, Tanja, like from the very beginning, as soon as someone has nominated someone else, the sense of, you know, oh, Like, really,
Oh,
you think I should be going for that?
absolutely. Yeah.
And just the uplift that that provides, whether it's in the same office that someone works in, or someone's shouted out someone from, you know, a colleague that they worked with 20 years ago, and we get all that, and you see that kind of vibe start to come around when nominations are happening. But then you throw that through to submissions, and people actually sitting down, taking the time. Really, you only have to do this once or twice a year, where you go through and think about what you've actually achieved over the last year. And sometimes it's not even until you sit down and go through that process that you go,
No.
wow, like, look at what we've actually been able to do. And as I mentioned earlier, with 2022 being such an
Yeah.
crazy, incredible year for so many people, they wouldn't have had a chance yet to take stock and think about what that meant. So there's that element, but I think there's even the fact that you can actually sit down your team and really get that buy-in for what your business is about by asking them what they think the biggest achievement has been over the last year, or you know, what were the highlights of the year that was. And that's just a really cool thing to do. You know, it's good for
Yeah.
culture, it's good for team bonding, it's good to feel like you belong and you get that recognition at that stage. We're still talking about that submission stage.
Yeah. And if I can add to that, having personally been nominated before, it is something, it just makes you incredibly chuffed to think that there's somebody out there that thinks that you have made a difference, because you know, you're just doing your thing. So that is beautiful to receive. And then I 100% agree with you. Often, you know, we tend to focus sometimes on the half empty part of the glass, or we crack the whip at what we haven't done rather than wave the wand of what we have done, which is why REB and Momentum Media and all the partners provide an amazing numerous platforms for us to go, actually, yeah, I am doing all right. And actually, we have made a difference. The best thing about submitting, you're bang on, Grace, is I know my experience was when I was nominated for Thought Leader back in 2019, and I did my submission. It was the first time where I actually reflected on everything I did, particularly in that year. And whether I'd won or not, I had this immense feeling of, whoa, I actually have done a lot. And there's a lot of effort that's gone into this. And when you look at the stats or the contribution it's made, it has made a difference and changed people's lives. And you don't do it for an award, but how lovely it is to have that nomination or recognition. So just going through the submission process itself is an amazing opportunity to look in the reflection, the rearview mirror, and reflect on the difference you've made and celebrate it with your team. And so then, of course, then the submissions happen, and there's a key date. I think the 14th of March is when submissions close.
So submissions close this month, and then we'll put the finalists announcement.
That's right.
Yeah. So
submissions close in 4 days. So the 10th of Feb.
Very key date there. So, but it's one of those things that, I mean, we always see people put their submissions in last minute, and that's no less valid than doing it 3 weeks early. But it is the week to be on top of that and to be looking at that. And all you need to really do is from the outset is to get, you know, someone in your team to go, okay, this is your job for the next, you know, couple of hours. Just think about everything we've done. Just jot everything down. That's such a good starting point to be doing that submission.
And if I can offer a little tip, because we know, you know, memory is not a strategy for success, and blink and it'll be 2024. Hot tip, if you are watching this and you're like, it's grand, 4 days to go and I'm tight with resources, but I see the merit. Please, REB do this every year. This is their 11th year. Just put a reminder in your calendar that, you know, by the time the nominations are open, put it in your calendar every year as a recurring event to allocate some time and a human resource to be prepared, so you're not doing it last minute. However, last minute is better than no entry at all. So what are some of the categories that people can enter?
So we try and cover everything, everyone in the industry. We recognize just how important, you know, every single aspect, every job that is undertaken in this industry is just as worthy of winning an award. So we have everything from Sales Agent of the Year, Metro and Regional, to Property Manager of the Year, Metro and Regional as well. You know, Office, Principal of the Year, we have Marketing and Communications Person of the Year, we have Thought Leader of the Year.
Thought Leader, Innovator, Mentor of the Year, Rising Star.
And then we go all the way through to, you know, office and agency awards as well. So we are looking at some of the initiatives that people bring in that space. And then Boutique Network of the Year, you know, Large Network of the Year, everyone. We try and make sure everyone is covered by these awards. And yeah, it's just really cool. I think especially once we do get to the night of that we will have in May, and you get to, you know, celebrate every single person that's in that room, even people that haven't made it to the room. And just the process that we go through along the way is just, I mean, there's a reason that we keep coming back year after year.
Yeah.
And it's because of that, you know, that vibe and that community spirit that it's able to achieve.
It's an incredible night, obviously, at the Star, which you've done it at numerous times. Give us a tip for those that are watching and have never done it before, or have done it and may have feel defeated or deflated that they didn't become a finalist or they didn't win. That is no reason to stop, by the way. It took Thomas Edison 10,000 attempts to create the light bulb. So, you know, don't give up after the first round. However, Grace, could you just give us a tip or a collection of tips on what constitutes a fantastic submission? How can you make your entry stand out and be considered?
I think it's one of those things where you want to put as much information in as possible. Yeah. A lot of people, especially in Australia, we've had the conversation over and over again where people don't like bragging or talking about themselves.
That's poppy syndrome.
And don't feel like any achievement is too small or insignificant to include in there. You know, whether it's been onboarding new team members, whether it has been work that you've done in community, that all adds up to what makes a fantastic submission.
I think that's a really important point. Do you think maybe some people get stopped or blocked or confronted that they think, I haven't developed my own AI, or I haven't developed, you know, this huge thing. It's not that you're looking always for the biggest, the brightest, the shiniest. It could be something really poignant and potent, or a simple strategy that has significantly increased your employment engagement and morale and culture, or an innovative marketing campaign that had you blitz, you know, online visitations for a property. Like, it doesn't have to be big and sexy to necessarily hit the mark, does it, Grace?
No, remember, we're operating in an industry where people are dealing with property transactions and leasing and renting out properties. We're in people's daily lives. So they're the kind of things that matter, you know. It's not always about selling 10,000 properties or doing it. It is what you're doing day to day to make whether it's your own life easier, more efficient, or whether it's a team's life more easier, efficient. You're making sure people can go home at a decent hour, whether it's, you know,
that's a novel idea, but some companies really put health and well-being and flexibility and work-life blend way up there. And certainly post-Corona Loco, creating flexible working conditions. If you're in property management particularly, there's more and more people that need flexible working conditions. You might be a single parent with kids at home, and what you value is the school drop-off and pickup, and maybe your organization is demonstrating best practice on employee engagement and retention, because we know from recent reports that 23% of property managers are leaving the industry, and a lot of them want leadership opportunities or stakeholder engagements, but also many are screaming for flexibility. So it doesn't have to be $1 million agent and the commission. It can be innovative ways that you're creating an environment for your people to really thrive under the new way of doing things.
Yeah, I mean, people can talk about the life changes that they've been able to show to people within their own industry. Talk about people that have stayed for the last 20 years loyal with your business. Talk about the community work you've done, given how many floods we've had over the last couple of years. All of this stuff is what the judges want to be seeing, you know, that you're not just a one-dimensional agent or property manager. There are going to be aspects of your personality that can really shine through, I think, in a submission, and don't hesitate to put that in.
Well, you're right, because we know people buy people, not necessarily products and brands. So just like a vendor is choosing an agent based on their connection with the agent, please don't be a cookie cutter of yourself when you are submitting for these awards. This is your time to reveal your unique DNA and showcase why you as an individual, whether you're a BDM, a PM, in admin accounts, a rising star or a director, both in metropolitan and regional, you've covered all bases, kind of deserve to be seen and heard, and pom-poms waved a little for some different thinking. And the three key reasons why certainly REB are encouraging people to submit, it gives you an opportunity to stand out in a very competitive marketplace. So there's lots and lots of choice. So having yourself considered as a finalist or a winner showcases you as being selected from your industry as demonstrating best practice, and that gives you a competitive advantage. That's number one. Number two, you do get to highlight your own industry achievements and initiatives. And again, just submitting gives you that experience of, oh, wow, I'm doing all right. But then when you become a finalist, and then if you even go through to win, regardless, you're going to have an awesome night at the Star, and we'll get to that, then that is incredibly worthwhile as well. And like you said before, Grace, it's an opportunity for the team to celebrate their contribution and reflect on the difference they've made. And then finally, again, it's industry recognition for continual effort and contribution to an industry that represents a very significant slice of the entire Australian economic pie. It's no small thing to work in real estate and property. So, you know, when you're busy being of service to other people and what matters to them, take a moment, if it's half an hour to put in for a ranking, or, you know, a couple of hours and some decent, you know, additional content to support your submission. You deserve a moment to reflect and rejoice and celebrate. So for those that are watching, Grace, and they've got, you know, 10 days to get their submissions in, where do they go and what do they do?
So if they want to go along to the REB Awards website, you can even Google it. It's that easy to get onto there. And there's actually a whole lot of resources that we put together that actually talks people through that process. So we've tried to we understand that, you know, it's not a 5-minute process, but it's something that should become enjoyable and something that you can really work through. And I even see it as a little bit of a value proposition. If people don't know what their value proposition is, they can do this process and then they've got something there, and it's like, this is what I do. This is the value that I'm providing, not only to the industry, but to my local community. So
yes, absolutely. And that work, that's a really good point. If I can just expand on that, please, this is about leverage. Really successful people understand how to leverage an investment. So if you are going to put a human resource on submitting and gathering research, and please take up the opportunity to submit additional information and case studies and PDFs and videos, because you have all of that also available for your submission. There's the questions you answer, which submit additional content. And of course, I think it's a video, and then, you know, what's your definition of success or something at the end. And you also have a human resource that is there to answer questions and hold your hand through the process too. There's a contact on your website of someone that can assist. But leveraging your submission helps you then get clear about what is your value proposition that you can start using as marketing narrative in the community or on socials, as part of, or also as part of your recruitment and induction program and strategy is a point of difference. Why should I go to ABC Realty versus XYZ property? This is all great content. So don't just see it as, I'm doing this task for the submission for REB. You're doing this task for many other applications. So I think that's a really good point. So you can go to REB Awards website. Everything is in there. It's literally paint by numbers. You've got till 10th of February to get your nominations and submissions in. And then on the 14th of March, finalists will be announced and ticket sales open for the illustrious awards night. on Thursday, the 4th of May at the Star.
Yeah, it's so much fun, isn't it? Just such a great night. Just so cool to be in a room with so many amazing people as well. I think we don't even really talk about it that much, but the networking opportunities, you're in a room with some pretty high level people, and they're all, just happy to be there. It's such a positive and supportive environment.
It really is. It's always a great experience. And who doesn't like to get frocked up and fabulous and dressed up, and it's also a beautiful opportunity, for many businesses. I know certainly as a coach over COVID, there was some businesses that struggled to stay afloat, and certainly there was a lot of businesses that are still recovering. You may not have the disposable income to do lots of awards and events and bits and pieces, but if you could put one thing on your calendar to create a special experience for you and your team, get yourself tickets and book a table. So, don't just go there, you and your friend, book a table and use this as an opportunity to invest, win or lose, nominated or not, to be part of industry's Night of Nights, celebrate with your team. Tickets are tax deductible. It is a business expense. I don't know that you can claim on shoes and handbags and hair and nails or ties and stuff, but it doesn't matter. It's all about, as you said, being in a room of high quality people who are super open-hearted and willing to connect. So from a networking perspective, if you know how to leverage, it's a wonderful experience. But also just to, be there and be grateful, of course, to your participating partners too. If you want to give them a shout out, Grace, before we wrap up, let people go and submit.
Yeah, we owe so much to our partners this year. We've got a campaign agent on board as our principal partner, and they've already thrown so much support behind the event. The way they've talked about it too, is really, really cool. They know that they're part of something special, which I think makes us realize just how special it is as well. And then we've got Reapit and finni involved as well, FBAA, and then our charity partner, Invictus Australia. So a lot of people that are working behind the scenes to make sure that it is a fantastic night, because we know that the industry deserves it to be a fantastic night.
Yeah, and these events don't happen by chance. They happen by choice, and you've chosen to partner with some really great businesses and brands who believe in the mission and the vision of what you're showcasing and celebrating. And so, if you do get along to the awards, please go and introduce yourself and say thank you to these partners, because we couldn't do it without them and the help of their industry support. So big shout out to the partners. So that's how you can enter for some of the rankings that are coming up. So please go to reb.com. Is it .com or .com.au?
Realestatebusiness.com.au will get you just to the website in general.
Platform. Yeah. And then there's a separate one, but all the awards information is on there. So you can submit for the upcoming rankings, and you can nominate. You've got 4 days to nominate a person or submit for yourself, and all the information is there. And if you, a really good thing to note, if you start a submission and you get distracted or you need to go and do something else, you can save it and go back to it. Please make sure you press that save button. And if you want a little safety net, what I did too was just copy and paste it into a Word document, just to be sure. And just before we wrap up, Grace, there are so many other ways that real estate business and Momentum Media pour into the industry. And that is obviously through the daily newsletter and bulletin, and the Wellness Wednesday, and your property management collateral and content that you send out. But you also have a podcast. Tell us, if someone's watching and they think they've got a great idea or an innovation or some thought leadership, and they'd love to have a conversation with you, whether it be on the podcast or potentially be interviewed and featured in an upcoming article, what is the best way to say, hey, I've got something to share?
Email usually is the best way that me and my team can be getting onto these things. there's two options really. There's editor@realestatebusiness.com.au, and that's just a general one. But I'm also so happy for people to just reach out directly to me through my email, which is grace.ormsby, which is ORMSBY @momentummedia.com.au. So just even if it's just one line, introducing themselves, telling me what they're about, and I'm super, super collaborative. That's something that I do pride myself on.
Yes, you are.
I want to be able to showcase and highlight as many people as possible. So even if you're not sure what you could be talking about, but you want to offer yourself up as someone to be talking on a future article or podcast, just reach out and we can go from there and work out what that would look like.
And is there any particular subjects or topics that are of keen interest to you at the moment that you're curating content for that you could mention?
You've even brought it up a little bit yourself, but those innovative ways of working that we're starting to see crop up, especially going into a completely different market to what we've been seeing over the last couple of years. This is when we're going to see, that savviness really come out. So if you're doing something that you're seeing work, that you tried something a little bit different and is paying off, we'd love to hear from that perspective. But always anything that's, technologically based, or if you're looking at, new ways of work, acknowledging that we're in a really changing business landscape, that's all cool too. So anything that really could be seen as lifting up the industry and the profession as a whole is always going to be relevant to us.
And don't think that what you have to share is too small and it has to be, it's the little 1%ers that done consistently over time can make the biggest difference, certainly from our perspective. So big shout out to you, Grace, and the whole team at Real Estate Business, and of course Momentum Media, for all that you do every single day to keep us, educated and informed and up to date with what's happening in real estate and property. And finally, if you aren't a member and you haven't subscribed, you are missing out, because you just get to sit in front of your device and the information is sent to you like that, and it's very easy to read, super informative and digestible. And it's also wonderful to see friends and clients and movers and shakers consistently offering their insights, tools and resources just to help the industry elevate and rise. So if someone also wants to subscribe and get the information into their inbox every day, that's also available on the realestatebusiness.com.au site too.
Absolutely. There's a big subscribe now button up the top, and it's super easy. You just need to put in your email address and the content will come through to your inbox every day. 7:30 a.m.
7:30 a.m.
Consistency is key.
That's it. You can see the 7:30 a.m. It's inbuilt into your marrow and your DNA. Congratulations once again, Grace, on your upcoming 12-month anniversary of being editor for Real Estate Business. Thank you in advance to you and your team for all that you do to inform and educate us on everything real estate and property. Big shout out to everyone that's just recently come out in the top 50 sales offices of 2023. Please make sure you head to realestatebusiness.com.au to find out about the rankings of the 3 submissions that are now open. And of course, get your nomination or submission in for the 11th annual Real Estate Business Awards, and save the date for Thursday, the 4th of May. May the 4th be with you. And also with you, Grace Ormsby, for Real Estate's Night of Nights at the Star in Sydney. Book a table, treat your team, and showcase excellence for real estate and property. Thanks again, Grace. Lovely to chat. Happy going through all those submissions.
I'm looking forward to cracking that champagne on the night turns.
I bet you are. And shoes off and kicking back, going, another fabulous night done.
It's just gonna be great. I mean, it's always a great time in real estate, but the next few months especially, it's just super exciting. So
it's award season. Let's get amongst it and celebrate excellence, because it's easy, as I said, to crack the whip. It's time to wave the wand. If not for you, for somebody else. Don't ever underestimate the difference you can make by showcasing the greatness of another. And that's what REB does so beautifully. Thank you so much, Grace. Please take our love to your team, and all the best, everyone, for your nominations. You're not alone. They've got a whole support network ready to hold your hand to ensure that your great stories are shared. So we'll look forward to seeing you on the Night of Nights and hearing all the nominees on the 14th of March.
Thanks for your support, Tanja.
My pleasure. Take care, Grace.